welcome into another Sorare in the States episode. Our 2025 MLS season previews continue, and we are going to put some fire out because Greg Berhalter is here. That means Chicago Fire might be a little bit better. They've been making moves, some that we were kind of excited about. Chicago Fire never crossed my mind, but boy, they do not leave it now. We are here. We're going to talk some Chicago Fire, who is slowly climbing up our rankings in the Eastern Conference. And like I said, they've been making moves. Alex here with me, as always. Stoked about SKC making signings. Oh, I can't wait for that episode. It's going to be the longest episode we've done. But here we go. All right, let's get into the Chicago Fire. Okay, they had some departures, one very important departure. And as soon as he left, he started smashing. So tell me, who left this club and why are they better now?
So here we go. We got actually a decent amount of departures. A lot of them were sort of just guys who were on the roster that didn't really see much playing time. Guys like Spencer Ritchie, who just backed up Chris Brady for a while. I don't know why I forgot his name, but yeah, main one from last season, halfway through, was Xherdan Shaqiri. They terminated his contract. He went over to Basel. And we can just pull up what he's doing over there. As a proud owner of him for my contender, it's he's doing his thing.
So, dark green for days.
No, yeah, it's insane. It's wild. But yeah, so he's their main departure. We have a couple starters. Fabian Herbers, Gaston Jimenez was a starter. Salquist was a starter. Lassiter, they brought him in halfway through last season, is now gone. Federico Navarro. Chicos was also actually a pretty decent AA scorer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the main one was Shaqiri leaving last season. But I think they got their own guy now with Jonathan Bamba coming in. Big one from Celta Vigo, left winger. Hopefully will change the way their attack goes. It'll be interesting. Also bringing in Jack Elliott. Ariel Lester, I guess he just was on loan. Now he's signed, so he's actually still there. But yeah, Jack Elliott was the other big one coming over from Philly, who surprisingly did not renew his contract, even though they have a transfer ban and can't bring in a replacement. So it just didn't make sense. But yeah, I think the big one is Bamba. What do you think about these guys coming in?
No, I think it's pretty exciting. Look, Chicago Fire are normally a team that does like to spend money. Obviously, they brought in Shaqiri for some crazy amount, and he just never fit in. From the moment he arrived, he just never really fit with the team. The vibes were bad. His attitude was bad. I remember them playing in Orlando a couple times, and you just watched Shaqiri do it, and it was just a miserable experience. Like, it was just one of those things that it made no sense, because clearly the talent is there. As soon as he went back to Switzerland, he started smashing. Obviously, internationals, he smashes. Just as Xherdan Shaqiri experience did not go well for the Chicago Fire, on top of a bunch of injuries, on top of other things. Chicago Fire have just been bad for a really long time now. Obviously, fired their coach for the millionth time, and now we have Greg Berhalter. Berhalter being like a key point here. I think him coming in, obviously, we know what he did with the U.S. men's national team. Before that, though, he was with the Columbus Crew as well. So in MLS, he was a solid coach. Say what you will about him, too. He did take the U.S. men's national team to another level as well. Didn't get the results we wanted a lot of the times, but he still did a lot to push that organization forward. So he's a proven coach. He's a talented person, knows the game of football. And yeah, pair that with bringing in someone like Jonathan Bamba. Obviously, we know what he's done. Zinkernagel, also another player that's really interesting coming in on the left or on the right, obviously on the other side of Bamba. Those two are the biggest ones. And then Jack Elliott solidifying that defense a little bit. They're really making important moves that are really going to take this team forward. I mean, you can't really get much worse than what the Chicago Fire was last year. But dude, pair these with Kellen Acosta, who's already been there, Brian Gutierrez, who is still there as well, and of course your boy Hugo Kuipers. So they do have pieces. They did have pieces. Bringing in some other pieces to solidify those, make those better. I think the Chicago Fire are on the way up. What do you think?
I think they're on the way up. I don't think they're going to be as good as people are saying they're going to be, but I think that with Greg coming in and Bamba sort of coming in to be their guy, I think it'll be interesting to see where they go up. Obviously, last year they were at the bottom of their conference, not wooden spoon, but yeah. And I mean, Jack Elliott's still 29. Like, that's going to be a good center back, and Zinkernagel's 30, which is not horrible, and Bamba's actually in his technical prime, age wise. At 28, and so they have these pieces coming in at the right time. They're not bringing any old guys. They're not bringing in anybody that it turns a red flag, or raises a red flag. as a signing. And so, yeah, I think this is positives for Chicago and Chicago fans. I think you should be happy with what's to come.
And like I'm not saying they're going to come and like take the league by storm and all of a sudden be playing for a home playoff spot, but going from where they were, and like you said, these are proven players, some of them in their primes. They've proven it on other stages. We're not really just hoping that something hits. Jack Elliott coming in to solidify that defense is really massive. Jack Elliott was great in Philly. That Philly team was great. They had a great spine to them as well. I don't know if I'm necessarily sold on the defense for this team. I'm looking at more of the attack, the attacking 4 or 3. But Jack Elliott, I know our buddy Chris, the MLS card guy, we were talking about Chicago the other day, and he thinks with Greg's possession system, they're going to play out of the back. There's going to be a lot of passes between them both, and just having Jack Elliott on the ball, pushing the ball forward, should do okay for his Sorare scores.
I like this at the
Um,
beginning, this
yeah,
this run here.
yeah, we've seen it in the past that he did score extremely well for Philly. He can get his head onto some balls in the box sometimes if he does end up pushing forward for set pieces or corners. Um, so
Get
he
this
does have it in him.
run.
Get those in there. I don't necessarily know if we expect a lot of clean sheets from this Chicago team. So we're not really looking for those, but he can get himself in some dangerous positions sometimes on corners. So Jack Elliott is definitely a big one. Would you be looking at Jack Elliott to pick one up?
For me, I'm looking at Chicago Fire only keeping 4 clean sheets last year and not liking that at all. So yeah, we made fun of it last year because Chris Brady could not keep clean sheets. So we'll just click on Chicago. As you can see, 4 clean sheets, only 11.8% of the time they're keeping clean sheets. That is not great.
Yeah.
That's really not great. And so here I'll highlight Chicago so you can see. Yeah, they conceded 62 goals against, which was actually top almost into the top 5. There we are. Big dub. But yeah, it's defensively, I don't like Chicago at all. Although I think Chris Brady is super talented, even with Jack Elliott coming in, that's only 1/4 of the defense. Teams can have one good defender and that not save them from still being a bad team defensively. And I think that'll be the case for Chicago again this season.
Yeah. I mean, Carlos Tehran playing next to him, like he's a fine player as well. You have Andrew Gutman on the left, who is also another player who's been around the MLS for a while, can get it done. Has been hurt for like the past 2 years though. He kind of just keeps getting hurt, unfortunately. But maybe we get the Andrew Gutman experience in here. And you can't forget, man, Kellen Acosta sitting there right in front of that back line. Obviously a little older, but if you have some more players around him, take a little bit of pressure off of him, it could kind of unleash him a little bit too. But yeah, Kellen Acosta has maybe been on the decline for a little bit, but still a solid player nonetheless.
Yeah, but speaking of Kellen Acosta, looking at their set pieces from last year, he was actually taking a majority of their corners and free kicks along with crosses. He took 49, which doubles Holly Selasse's, is he still on the team? Is he still there?
Yes, he would
Okay.
be behind Zinkernago at this point on the right.
Okay. So yeah. So maybe we will see Kellen Acosta take some corners, but for me, I said down here, watch for Bamba to take over sets. I think that's something that would be real.
Mhm.
I don't have any data on him when he was at Celta because he didn't play much. Um, you can go back. I didn't go back into the database back enough, but if you were to do a little bit extra research just to confirm that, you can go to Lille and look at their past years with him because that is when he has been playing his best. I can try to check in a bit, but yeah,
Yeah, I'll
it's
try to pull it up.
yeah. I'm gonna see if there's like if he has any data at
He has
Celta.
some. Yeah, he does. So right
Does he
here,
have
you
some?
just
Okay.
even if you look at his sober scores period, I mean, he was averaging 11 AA,
Mhm.
which we like to see. He does have some peaks in there. It really struggles to get into like the 90s into the hundreds, but you're getting into the 80s, which is fine, I guess. But we'll also have to see the way scores end up being in the MLS only competitions.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, back when he was playing at Leo, like he was scoring okay, and there's some nice dark green scores there, but we're not getting the necessarily the peaks that we want out of Bamba.
Yeah. And so I'll go to his stats at Celta passing wise and see what we can find. So yeah, not many crosses, only 0.7 per game. Created 3 big chances in his time there. Was he there the year before? 2023. Yeah, this might be a little bit better. Yeah, here we go. So passing wise, yeah, only 4.4 corners, created through only three big chances the whole season, had two assists. So he wasn't really seen too much of what was happening at Celta. Lille he was really good at, and yeah, attacking 1.5 shots per game. So he's putting shots on the keeper even when he wasn't playing as much. So
Right.
that will be really effective for Chicago, who really struggled to find goals for when Kuipers just couldn't do it. There were times when Kuipers was able to, and hopefully with Bomba in there, he'll be able to now. But yeah, I think that he's going to be very beneficial to their goal scoring and to definitely see an increase in attacking output from not just Bomba, but from Kuipers, hopefully Gutierrez too, because I know you love him.
Yeah, no, I think that's the biggest thing that you kind of say right there is like just having someone like Bamba there just unleashes Kuipers a little bit. It doesn't fall on him. There's another threat. We don't really know what to expect from Zinkernagel yet, but he's going to be floating around up top. And then, yeah, I think the biggest thing is Gutierrez as well in the middle. Like he has some real targets in front of him now, not just Hugo Kuipers. You're going to have a dynamic trio, basically attacking trio in front of Gutierrez. Another year, he had a solid season last year with an incredibly terrible team. So the expectation is, hey, Chicago Fire is spending money, bringing him some real attacking players that'll hopefully unlock Brian Gutierrez as well. And I think that's the biggest thing, right? We've said it a million times in like the last like 10 minutes. That like defensively, don't really know if we want to trust it, but this attacking force that we have building in Chicago with Greg Berhalter, I think it might start to help turn things around for him.
Yeah. And so for context, last year when we're talking about turning around, they only scored 40 goals in total. So that puts them at sixth least goals last season. Yeah, they were not great at the attack, and it shows you. They underperformed their expected goals, so they should have scored more, but not by much. Yeah, they were really not great last year, based on the positioning, based on their players. They're really kind of putting things on Bamba to do what he can do, and I think that he can. I think that he's good enough too. Also, Kuipers took pens last year, scored all five. So
Hey,
look out for that too. We don't know who's going to be the penalty taker. I would assume it stays Kuipers. I don't
I think so.
think that Bomba would take over, but yeah, and I don't think there's any other. I guess we look at progressive passes because that can be helpful again towards the bottom. So hopefully look for Gutierrez to start to have more of those with more options. That will be really big for him in his AA and possible more assists and decisives.
Yeah, no, yeah, I definitely agree. It'll be interesting. Obviously, we're kind of going to center around Bamba in this build. Um, oh, we love some Gutierrez, man. I'm just like, like at the end of the day, I think that's what I'm really excited for the most is just having some like real pieces around Gutierrez, just letting him cook. Let's see what you could really do. That's not Shaqiri just kind of standing there mad that you didn't give the ball to him while he's being triple teamed on the field. So,
Yep.
bad vibes all around. But Alex, what do you think? What are you thinking for a stack? What are you thinking for a little Chicago Fire stack?
So I think the default we got to go with Chris Brady at the goalkeeper. We got to go Elliott at the defender. Gutierrez is their only scoring midfielder. I think Acosta just doesn't have it as much, especially if he gets taken off sets. Bamba easily has to be in there, and Kuipers was their leading goal scorer last year. Should score more this year. The only question is maybe between Acosta and Gutierrez, but for me, Gutierrez should have it at the 10.
Yeah, no, I think I would agree with that. Chris Brady, Jack Elliott are probably locks. Obviously, in defense, you could probably go Andrew Gutman, maybe. We'll have to see. Obviously, coming back from injury is always tough. But historically, he's been a great kind of outside back. But Jack Elliott is probably the one you want to focus on here. I do agree. Brian Gutierrez is probably locked in for the midfield. Um, yeah, like you said it. No one else could really peak like that. No one else is going to be that necessarily dangerous unless we get Zinkernagel. Zinkernagel is a midfield card. So that's an option. Again, coming into the league first year, we don't necessarily know what to expect from him yet. But that could be something. I know a lot of people aren't the biggest fans of running a two forward system. So it's kind of tough. It's tough to pick between Bamba, who's coming into the league with high expectations, and then Kuipers last year, who showed flashes, wasn't consistent, but he did show flashes. So having a new team around him could help him out there. But I think by default to start the season, I do think you go Jonathan Bamba, Hugo Kuipers. Um, but that could change. So if you are planning on running a Chicago Fire stack, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend, but if you were feeling frisky, that's something you could do, and it would be a kind of two forward system. If you look on Sorare data right now, basically you could get this entire stack for $17 in Classic.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. We'll see what in-season prices have to offer, what they give us, what gift they will give us. But for now, $17 for a little cheeky Chicago Fire stat could work out. And hey, it's a speculative play, okay? We don't know what to expect from Chicago Fire yet. Obviously, the signings and Greg Berhalter make it a little bit more exciting. But again, we just don't know what it's going to look like. So, hey, high risk, high reward, maybe? Or you just kind of fall flat in your face and you remember why their nickname is Chicago Dumpster Fire. But not this year, Alex. Not this year.
Hopefully not.
No.
I don't
We're gonna
mind
be
Chicago. I don't mind him for being like somewhat of a rival for being in the Midwest. I don't mind him too much.
well because you haven't had to worry about him for like 10 years. That's why.
That's also true.
But as far as Chicago, I know we've kind of hyped up the signings. What's your realistic expectation for their season this year? Do you think these moves are enough to push them into playoff contention, or do you think they're probably still going to need another year under their belt to really start fighting for one of those playoff spots? And everybody makes the playoffs.
For me personally, I don't think that they make the playoffs. Looking at the table from last year, I think that they improved more than the Revs. I don't think they improved more than Nashville. I think that they improved more than Philly. I don't think they improved more than Toronto. And I think DC are better than them. So I think I'd put them in this range here, this 11 to 13. I think that they could make a play in, but I don't think that they get into the secure playoff spot. I would put their ceiling at 8, floor probably 14. I don't think anybody's going to be worse than the Union. And realistic, I'd probably put them at number wise at 11 for this year, 11 or 12. What do you think?
No, yeah, I would agree with that. I don't necessarily think they'll climb up the table too much. Obviously, bringing in new pieces, new coach, new everything. It's going to take them some time to adjust. Yeah, they're coming from the very, very bottom. I do agree that they'll probably jump the Philadelphia Union. They just decided to blow it up, so they're selling everybody. Play your kids. DC United. I don't know. I don't know if I would say that they're better than them. I think DC has a chance to fall. But the big one is one of the New York teams, man. I do see one of the New York teams kind of falling off. Obviously, the Red Bulls had a kind of a magical run to end the season. They haven't really done much. They've been a little bit quiet. They're running it back for the most part. Red Bulls did get rid of some signings. Obviously, John Tolkien.
They got the
And
DP coming in though. Big DP
yeah,
striker,
well,
36-year-old.
oh, that's right. Oh, see, yeah, that's how excited I am for that signing. So we'll see. I do see them potentially playing. I think their ceiling is fighting for a play-in spot at the end of the season. But yeah, it's going to be a big, long hill for the Chicago Fire to climb, but it's exciting times. I think the grass is greener on the other side, and they are starting to smell the roses.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Do you have anything else on the Chicago Fire?
No, I just think if you're just take a stab at someone, Bamba, why not? $3 limited. I don't see really any negatives to that. He's coming into a situation where he's going to be their guy. And again, Kuiper's 20 goals this year. That's my hope.
We're smashing the over on 20 goals this season.
If the over under wherever the over under's at, you're taking the over. Kuiper's is going smash.
Yeah, I would agree. These three are probably the ones that I would look at if I was. I'm currently looking at Brian Gutierrez right now in rare. A big fan. And U23, so you get a little little utility there. Jonathan Bamba obviously being the key addition for this season. Hoping great things from him. And then Hugo Kuipers, you love him. I am about him. But hey, he will bang in goals. He will finish those. We'll see if he continues. He's the penalty taker. So, right?
He'll score at least once this year.
He will get at least one. So there's that. But yeah, that's Chicago Fire, man. The good, a lot of things to look up to for the Chicago Fire. They'll be fun to watch this season. They'll be fun to follow. Obviously, the Greg Berhalter storyline will be on the timeline at all times. And then, yeah, with signings like this, they like to splash money. So hopefully, it's bound to hit eventually, right? You can only miss so many times before it finally hits. So Chicago Fire, hopefully that's you this year. And it'll be fun watching you this year. But yeah, thanks for watching our Chicago Fire preview. As always, let us know what you want to see. And if you want to come talk about your team, hit us up where the door is always open. And we will continue seeing these for this incredible, amazing previews. And hell yeah, win something nice on Sorare, baby. Let's go.